Good morning, everyone. Saturday, 11th of July, 2020, or so they would have us believe that is the year. Lots of standing water today. Lots of noise, lots of fireworks, lots of thunder and lightning, lots of rain. About 2:30 this morning it started. Beautiful morning nevertheless. You're ever flexible, always humble, most fluid messenger. Gets stuff done. And as I'm working on part 3, I noticed, I better go back and fill in a few blanks to part 2. And so we'll call this Bible Fairy Tales part 2a supplemental. Okay, I have complained about the book of Revelation before, people. I'm almost certain it should not be in the Bible. However, I'm equally certain that someone is using it as a blueprint. Our fearful masters, the plantation overlords, if you know what I mean. And if you look at Revelations, by the way, I'm going to leave a link, 2 links. The first link deals with this similar subject. They're talking about a new Jerusalem. They're talking about a third temple. They're talking about 1,000-year rule on this earth. They're talking about a rule with a rod of iron. The Pope is going to move the New World Order Church down to Jerusalem, capital of everything, don't you know, in the quote-unquote New World Order. Take a look at this first video, people. It's good for a laugh. They've got it in the wrong spot. Their Wailing Wall is a west wall of a Roman fort back in AD 70. So, I mean, it's good for a laugh. Murray, tell your arrogantly stupid relatives, get at least the stuff in the right spot. So, I don't use Revelation very often. We'll cite a couple of verses, but not very often. I like to use Matthew 24. Now, people have been at this for 30 plus years. And some of the side roads you go down are the partial or the full preterism. What they believe is the Matthew chapter 24 has basically been totally fulfilled. That the world ended and we missed it, and it ended in 70 AD with the destruction of Jerusalem when Romans kicked the shit out of them. Okay, so they're big on pronouns. Who was Jesus talking to? You know, I mean, they'll say that, and they'll say, see, it happened then, not in the future. Well, you know what? They have some valid arguments in certain places where we do not get our pronouns correct. But I like to use Matthew 24. And let's go down here to verse 29, where I would take great issue that some of these things didn't happen. It's not going to be painful, people. I'm going to make this quick. Matthew 24, verse 29. Immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of the heavens shall be shaken. Well, that happened in AD 70? Really? The stars shall fall from heaven? Now listen, you evolutionists. Listen, you NASA fanboys, you nassholes. You think stars are just light-emitting chunks of rock sitting out there millions and billions of light years away? Do you really think that's what stars are? Well, I'm not going to tell you right now. But if stars can fall from the heaven to the earth, I'm saying I don't think they're chunks of rocks. Verse 30, and then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven, and then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. Verse 31, and he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the 4 winds, 4 corners of the flat earth, from one end of heaven to the other. Skip down to verse 33, because, hang with me, it's going to get exciting here, people. Buckle your seatbelt. So likewise, ye, when ye shall see all these things, know that it is near, even at the doors. Verse 34, verily I say unto you, this generation shall not pass till all these things be fulfilled. Now, preterists would say, this generation? What generation? The generation he's talking to. I would say, no. The generation that shall see all of these things, not just some of these things that happened in 70 AD. All of the things. That's this generation. Verse 35, sorry, New Jerusalem. Heaven and earth shall pass away, but my words shall not pass away. Oh, I thought you were going to set up a 1,000-year rule in the New Jerusalem. Here's the one that we want to talk about. Verse 37. Matthew 24, verse 37 and 38. For as the days of Noah were, so shall also be the coming of the Son of Man. For as in the days that were before the flood, they were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage, until the day that Noah entered the ark. Big wow, huh? Look at that 38. So they were Eating and drinking and marrying and giving in marriage. Oh, that's significant. That really is applicable to the days of Noah. Yes, it is, people. Because what were they eating and drinking? Human blood and human flesh. Cannibalism all over the Old Testament. Yeah, no doubt. And what were they marrying and giving in marriage? You think queer marriages of today is a new thing? Did not King Solomon say there is nothing new under the sun? You had faggots all over the Bible in old biblical times. You had cannibalism in biblical times. You have cannibalism today. Dave, can you prove that? Is that some weird theory? Why, yes. Your second link, people, shall be from cannibalclub.org. I'll leave a link. Whenever a taboo is broken, something good happens, something vitalizing. Specializing in the preparation of human meat, Cannibal Club brings the cutting edge of the experimental cuisine to the refined palates of LA's cultural elite. Yeah, I'll leave that link for you. Oh, now, Dave, that's satire. That's just humor. You can hide a lot of things under that cover, people. A lot of truths can be concealed under satire and humor. Don't doubt me on that. Okay, so a few other interesting things that you must know about. Let's get back into the Old Testament real briefly, people. We'll go back to the first chapter of Exodus, and they give you the lineages of Jacob. All right, and let's see. Patience. Exodus 1, verse 8. Now there arose up a new king over Egypt, which knew not Joseph. A new Pharaoh in Egypt that didn't know Joseph. Isn't that similar to a new Pharaoh that doesn't know Moses? Are you shitting me? Where did this dude come from if he didn't know Joseph, who was like the number 2 man at one time in Egypt? Look at them pictures, people. Look at those pictures. Because I'll tell you what, whether it's Pharaoh, whether it's Caesar, whether it's Emperor, they all roughly translate into God-man. Yeah. So we'll get to those pictures here in a second. So he's kind of concerned that this new king, this new Pharaoh in Egypt that did not know Joseph, concerned that the children of Israel are getting to be more and mightier in number than they are. So he gets down here to verse 15. And the king of Egypt, the new Pharaoh that did not know Joseph, spoke to the Hebrew midwives, of which the name of one was Shiphrah, and the name of the other was Puah. And the king of Egypt said, when you do the office of a midwife, what do midwives do, people? Yes, they help birth children. To the Hebrew women, and see them upon the stools. If it be a son, then you shall kill him. But if it be a daughter, then she shall live. Verse 17, but the midwives feared God more and did not do as the king of Egypt commanded them, but saved the men, children alive also. That's abortion, people. You are to perform abortion on the male children, but let the daughters live. Now, why is that? Because the sons of God weren't faggots. They weren't going to be boinking the men. They were boinking the daughters of men. Enoch does an excellent job of filling in a lot of the blanks of the Genesis 6 giants. And by the way, people, did you check out that link? Did you check out that website, Genesis 6 giants? I can't stress it hard enough. Okay, let's get to those pictures. You call them reptilians, you call them gray aliens, extraterrestrials. Now, extra-dimensionals. Demons. Now, what is a demon? Is it nothing more than the dispossessed spirit of a fallen Nephilim, a dead giant? Because what happens, people, when you have a daughter of man, mother, boinked by a son of God? You have the man part will die, but the son of God part will die? No. They walk the earth, people, looking for whom they can devour. Remember what Paul said about the God-man, about who we wrestle? Not flesh and blood. Yeah, look at them pictures. We're going to have to deal with those pictures because people say, oh, those are aliens. So you don't want to talk about the reptilians, huh? Well, that's a David Icke conspiracy. What are serpents, people? What are snakes? Aren't snake reptiles? Doesn't the Bible talk much about snakes and serpents? I go back to the Garden of Evil, and the most wily critter in the garden was the serpent. Want to talk about that? All right, we won't. At a later date, we will. Let's go to Acts 9:18. Well, Matthew 24 and Acts 9:18 are New Testament, so we're not in the Old Testament fairy tale book. So Acts 19, or excuse me, Acts 9 verse 18. They're talking about the conversion of Paul when he was one mean son of a bitch as Saul, going around as a Pharisee persecuting and killing Christians. So he's on the road to Damascus. He gets knocked on his ass off his horse, and his eyes are open. So I don't care what version you want to read. NIV, immediately something like scales fell from Saul's eyes. New Living Translation, instantly something like scales. English Standard Version, and immediately something like scales. Let's go all the way down to the King James, and immediately there fell from his eyes as it had been scales. What has scales, people? Look at those pictures. You should believe Saul when he was converted to Paul, the Apostle Paul, when he says, "Ye wrestle not against flesh and blood, powers, principalities, rulers of darkness." All right, that should catch you up for today. I am working on part 3. It's going to be a hoot. Excuse me, all to pieces. Hey, little spoiler alert. Remember when I had some videos about Papa Bush? Poppy, remember him? George H.W. Bush and his need for a new world order. And we'll be successful. Remember? Henry Kissinger, we need a new world order. Yeah. Tell you what, is it possible Papa Bush lied to us? Is it possible, like a good skilled Masonic magician, he gets you looking left when they're coming from the right? It's your spoiler alert, people. Stand by for part 3. No distractions come on my way. We should have that up within the next day or two. In the meantime, guess what? I got stuff to do. And you guys enjoy the wet morning.